Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the VectoScalar Tech Talk show. As you know, VectoScalar Tech Talk is an online live show on technology and digital transformation shared by senior tech leaders. In this episode, our guest speaker, Manoj Jain, is going to cover insights about building high quality products. Before I invite Manoj Jain on stage, let me share his quick bio. Manoj Jain is Senior Director R&D at Axtria Technologies. Manoj Jain is having 24 plus years of working experience with product-based companies. He has also worked with sustaining engineering development, project management, and enterprise agile coach. Manoj has authored numerous blogs as well as presented at test and agile conferences pan India. Manoj is also part of various professional bodies which are related to software development and testing. Manoj has done MCA and Executive MBA. Prior to Extria, Manoj has worked with Mesoclick, Oracle, MakeMyTrip, CA Technologies, Nuclear Software, Newgen Software, and NIIT. And with that, let me invite Manoj Chen to the show. Welcome, Manoj.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thanks for taking out time from your busy schedule to share your insight for the people and audience of VectoScalar Tech Talk.
Absolutely.
Great. So before we talk about the importance of high quality and building high quality products, tell me more about your role at Extria and what Extria is all about.
Absolutely. I'm part of the Extria's R&D team, and we have various products. Basically, Extria is all about the global software provider for the life sciences industry as well as project data analytics. Extria helps in having the pharmaceutical companies reaching their drugs to the end consumers in the most efficient way. And we all know COVID had learned us lot many things. How reaching to the end users or the consumers requiring them is very important, and how it can be done without in-person contact is also equally important. So I work with various products in the R&D group, and we ensure that how do we deliver high quality products to our esteemed customers so that they can focus on their business, not only on the softwares.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. And it is important information that it's all about life sciences, where it even makes the criticality of the software even more important when it is related to the lives of people and directly impacting them. So tell me more about the quality. That what is the importance of quality for enterprise products? The kind of work that you are doing.
Absolutely. I think I can't emphasize enough about quality, and especially for the enterprise products. Though it is required in every aspect of our both professional as well as the personal life. But let me touch upon from the enterprise product perspective. Usually, for any enterprise, implementing new software is not an easy thing. It's a huge investment. It takes multi-year to implement a software, and they rely their business on that. Certainly functionality is very obvious that anybody would care about, but there are various other aspects which come into play when the rubber meets the road. How is the performance of the application? How is the reliability of the application? If there is a surge in the demand, is the software able to handle that? And we all seen that whenever we use an application and we have a dire need, and if it is not available, how annoying it is. It is not only about the bug, but the loss in the business opportunity that an organization may go through if the application is not reliable, not available when you really need it. So quality is very important. I think it goes much beyond just the functional part, but other non-functional aspects as well.
Definitely, you highlighted a very valid point where we talked about that when things are not available, it becomes really irritating. And now I think the customer expectation has also gone higher. In like 20 years ago, if something is down for an half an hour, then it may not make news. But now, even if Google is down for 10 minutes, it's everywhere that things are down or something like that is happening. So definitely clients expectation about having a high quality product is also higher, but still it seems like a subjective word that it is a high quality product. And I think if we talk to any company, the developer, the engineers will always say it's a high quality product. We are building a high quality product. So, as a lead at the leadership role, how do we define actually the high quality, that whether actually we are having a high quality product or not, and how to convert that subjectivity into objectivity?
Sure, absolutely. I think I'll probably talk about the most tangible part. Usually this is compared or assessed in the form of something called CSAT or the NPS, that any organizations runs this survey to ensure that how their customers are feeling about their products, which is a great metric. It helps us a lot. But if you look at more at a ground level, the number of production incident that we are receiving is a great indicator. And the incidents or the observation that we receive could be of various quality. Every one of them may not require a code fix, but they may be related to the usability of the application, the documentation that it provides, the online support that we have, how quickly somebody is able to find the information that they are looking for is also the important aspect which defines quality, right? To run a software on day-to-day basis, do you need multiple people, like from the admin perspective, or it is self-support application, right? So these are the various aspects that you can look at it. They may not be available directly on the face, but behind the scenes they play a very important role and help you to assess the ground level quality of the respective product.
That's a beautiful insight when we talk about that there are multiple stakeholders. As in earlier case, we might see that probably it's specific to one role who will take care of quality, but then who is actually responsible? Because as we know, if we say that it's everyone responsibility, then no one is taking the responsibility. So actually, who is responsible for delivering high quality product? Is there any specific role for that?
Everyone. So quality is not a phase. Quality is a mindset. And yes, you're right that when everybody is responsible, then it is difficult to hold accountable one person. But unless everybody takes accountability of the quality, we can't achieve our goal. So it cannot be delegated. It cannot be assigned to a specific function. Usually, it is the testing teams. We believe that they should be driving it, but they are the at the fag end. Right? They do a value add in terms of detecting any bugs which are going there, but that's not enough. So every single person who is involved with the quality or the software development directly or indirectly contributes to the quality of the product. I'll take an example. So if either I'm a product manager or I'm an engineering lead or a UX designer or a tester or a tech documentation writer working on that product, do I have visibility about how many production incidents have been reported for my respective module? Nobody need not to come and tell me that these are the number of incidents have come to me or escalate to me. I should be keeping an eye on day-to-day basis, because that's the proof of the pudding. That's what the really, when we aspire for that, how is our module or the functionality is being appreciated by our customers. So I would say that everybody should be knowing in the team that they are responsible for the quality, and they should know that where we are getting the real feedback from.
That makes sense. That I agree to that point that it's everyone's who is responsible for it, but definitely we need to define the accountability metrics so that we can hold people. And probably the definition, as you rightly mentioned, definition of quality might vary from different people. That at each phase, the expectation from quality may change. So, what do we need to do something radical to achieve that high quality and delivering high quality products?
We don't need to do anything radical. We need to
Is
do
it?
just the basic stuff. Yes. And let me explain how. Each of us play different role in the overall delivery process. If I'm playing role of a tester, if I'm playing role of an engineer, I get certain input from some functions, I process them and generate an outcome. What I need to ensure that the input that I'm receiving is of high quality, meets my acceptance standards. I process them with high standard and give the high standard to the next one. Excuse me. If my
Yeah.
next phase has to worry about the quality of the previous phase, then it tells that there are issues with the quality. So the moment the next phase stops worrying about the quality of the previous phase, that tells that we have a great pipeline.
Okay. So as I
Most of the
understand,
time,
it's all about processes. So define the process.
I would say not necessarily the process. Process is as good as when it is followed,
Yep.
right? And we know all we engineers that how we good we are in following processes, right? You tell me a way, I'll find a way. The main crux is that if I'm just going that whether I have followed certain process or not, I'm sure you ask any team that did you follow this process even though there was a production incident, most likely the answer would be yes. But then how did we run into this situation? It requires rising to the occasion when I know that there is an observation, I have an intuition that something is not going right, even though the process has been followed. Am I highlighting that? Am I taking that pain that this product belongs to me? This product is going to hurt experience of the customers if not addressed. Whether I belong that the whether that issue belongs to my module or not, I'm going to raise it. That's what it is going to make. It is going to help in making a great product.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a very insightful thing to have. And in between, I'm having a question. Let me take up the question. So Shubham Gupta is asking, what all things we should keep in mind while testing a product apart from performance?
Oh, absolutely, a great question, Shubham, thanks for asking. So there is a terminology called abilities. If I put in a technical form, this is called star abilities. And these abilities are performance ability, resiliency, interoperability, reliability. So these are all various aspects. And let me give some example. And certainly internationalization, localizations, they're very important. Accessibility is very important to make sure that the software is accessible to the all the people. In today's world, all the softwares are using multiple services upstream, downstream, right? And it would be unfair to assume that they are going to be available all the time. In fact, we should take other approach. What happens if I'm using a certain service? That what if it is not available? What if it gives me a wrong input? Am I handling that? So the moment we assume that something is going to be available all the time, or is it going to give me the all the things right, that's a recipe for disaster. So just to answer Subham's question, so you have internationalization, localization, reliability, resiliency, interoperability, browser certifications, accessibility, and last but not the least, the security testing, which could be static code analysis, it could be penetration testing, and things like that. So these are all required. That's what makes a great enterprise product.
Okay, I hope Shubham, your question is answered. Thanks for asking the question. Now, Manoj, you very well highlighted the point that the ownership is with everyone, and then we need to make sure that we are doing it and achieving that quality. But as we all know that in today's context where things are to be delivered on time, before time, there is a saying that if somebody asks that when was it planned and when it should be delivered, it must be yesterday, something like that. So things are in such a manner that we want everything in time, it should be delivered quickly, and definitely it might have some constraint with quality that within that time, especially when the development is getting delayed, how to make sure that to achieve that timeline. So how do we handle such kind of scenarios?
Sure. So I'll take an example. So making a high quality software is not making like an instant noodles, right? Making a high quality software is like gardening. It takes time. You have to water the plants, you have to remove the weeds, You have to use the fertilizer, and then there needs to be proper sunlight. That's what at the end of the 6 months or 1 year you have a beautiful garden. So we should not mistaken with making an instant noodle that you can immediately make it. Second thing, if you want to have a dish which tastes good, it has to be cooked well, right? You can serve a semi-cooked dish, but that it is going to ruin your experience. So better not to do that. Last but not the least, if you have a software which is not fully ready to be deployed in production, and if it gets shipped to the customers, we are going to equally spend that time, later on as well, because when there are production incidents, we need to focus on them. It will be a distraction from your ongoing release that you are working on, because you need to now take care of the production issue. So it is anyhow going to demand the time. And then if there are multiple customer who took that software and complaining about it, then it is a damage to the brand as well. It is demoralizing. So why to go there? So if something has to be released fast, we have to see that what is the minimum, smallest unit that we can deliver, which is robust enough to go and then sustain in the production environment, right? Not try to do something big bang and then let's see how it goes and then try to fix it in the production. So bringing those facts is very important, that if you are cutting the corner, what is an impact to the quality of the software and to the experience of the customer, last but not the least to the brand of the company.
So it requires a 360-degree review. It's not just about what is the piece that I have in my hand, which I'm going to test. I need to take care of all the aspects that brand, that at what benchmark we have set for the brand, and what are the other things that are happening, how our customer is going to get impacted. So probably the impact is even more important. Might be a seemingly a small bug or a small issue in the short term goal, but probably it might have a bigger impact at the customer end. So that kind of analysis is definitely required, right?
Sure. So, and let me take a very, again, basic example. I think it is then easy for all of us to also understand and appreciate. Uh, if I want to have a meal, maybe I'm planning for a dinner, uh, I can go to a small restaurant or small shop outside on a street. I can go to a medium restaurant, or I can go to a five-star hotel where I need to, spend a couple of thousand rupees. And if the occasion is important, I don't mind spending that one. I'm ready to spend those, I go to a high-end restaurant and then spend those few thousand rupees just because of the experience, not for the commodity. And whenever we talk about, there is something called brand. And the moment we talk about this word brand, what are the top brands that come in our mind? And every top brand has certain common traits, which is the brand associations, repeatability, reliability, and then if there is an issue, they are with me. So it is our call that what kind of brand we want to build. And everyone has to work towards it. And the moment I break that trust, I'm going to damaging the brand of my organization. And more importantly, I think one thing also I'll say, that when I said that everybody is responsible, that each of us also represent our own brand. If I'm delivering something of mediocre quality to my team member or anybody else in the cross-functional team, that reflects my brand, right? And and we all know that if you think about our peers, our colleagues, like, should I worry about their quality? Some of them would be, I don't need to worry about. Some of them I need to do a review. So that apprehension should not be there. So our brand is also associated with my deliverable that I do in my company. And I think we should do all the efforts to make that brand as super brand, as you call that world class, organization.
Right. A world-class organization constitutes of world-class brands, which consists of definitely people with world-class mindset who can deliver that kind of
Absolutely.
quality.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. I would like to take another question. We have a question coming from Naman Gandhi. He's asking, how do you personally define and prioritize perfection in the context of any project? Are there specific aspects of each or features that you consider non-negotiable for achieving a perfect outcome?
Great question. So I think so there are various metrics, right? Any organization will have certain metrics, but uh, if a software is going live for the first time, that there are some aspects that you would like to, you know, ensure that they are met. For example, you have a defect backlog. I'll start with that. How many total bugs are there for the application which are open, and how many of them are marked as critical or highs. So critical and high should be a release blocker. There shouldn't be anything conditional thing out there, because if it is there, it is going to hurt customer. And many a times I have seen some teams just focus on the bugs which are related to that release. No, if you are working on a product, whether this bug was there in this release or it existed in earlier release also, it is a bug in the product which is there out in there in the production. Performance, how many users are going to use it, what is the volume that at which they are going to use it, right? At what pace their business is growing, so that my software does not bottleneck in their growth. So every company has a certain growth rate in terms of the record, user volume or the expected record volume. At least it should be sustainable for next 3 years from their growth perspective. Security, absolutely, the secure, it has to be secure, and we all know that what kind of damage it may cause to organizations or the data of the organization if it is not secure enough. So there are other things also, but I would say that these are the things which are completely non-negotiable.
Okay. Thanks, Manoj, for answering that question. And Naman, I hope your question is answered. I have another question coming from Bhavna Mia. How do you go about motivating your team to ensure you are delivering a high quality product?
A big thumbs up for Bhavna for asking this question. I think it is a great question, and I think it is something that we need to tell them, or that the way I think is that put ourselves in the shoes of the customers. And let me take an example. If you are using a UPI payment app, you're standing there and then trying to make a payment, you forgot your wallet at home, and due to the performance issue, it is saying that you're not able to make the payment. What are you going to do, right? And probably you have a flight to catch or a train to catch. You are there maybe like 11 p.m. or midnight, standing on a lonely road, and you're trying to book a cab, and the cab is not loading. The app is not loading or not giving an option because of this thing. What will be your reaction? You are driving, you are using some online maps, either Google Maps or Apple Maps, and because of the load issue, it says that oops, you missed your exit 5 miles back, and now you need to go 10 miles ahead to come back, take a U-turn. Will you be happy about it? Certainly not. So the moment we put ourselves in the shoes of the customer who are using our software, we get all these answers. Can I go and proudly tell to everybody that I work on this software and this is my deliverable? Tomorrow, if I start my own company, and will I be ready to shelve tons of money to buy this software and you to be used in my by my employees? You will get all the answers. So main thing is, just put yourself in the shoes of the customers. You will get all the answers. And how a non-performing software caused issue to you financially or morally or emotionally, and then I think things will fall in place.
Right. Thanks for answering that question. And I think, as you rightly mentioned, that this question is the bottom line question, that how to motivate your team to ensure that we are delivering a high quality product. And you shared a very philosophical perspective, but that's what the fundamental is, that put yourself in the shoes of the user, and especially the critical condition. I still remember that there was a typical fire drill training that was happening when I was working in Bangalore sometime back. And the typical drill would be that this is a usual presentation and everything, go out and come back, typical what happens during a fire drill. But during that particular day, someone came, and without giving the different other perspective, he just showed us a video where a high rise building caught the fire, and it was some 20 floor plus building, and people were actually jumping off the top floor just to save their lives. So on one side there was fire, and then it was height that they faced. And after watching that video, I could still, if I tell about that story, I get that goosebumps, that just imagine what can happen at that point of situation. So if we can just keep reminding ourselves, as you rightly mentioned, the worst that can happen to the person, and how critical this might be for that person, then definitely it can play a very critical role. So, Manoj, while we talked about all the different aspects which are related to testing, but slowly we are seeing a pattern where large enterprises are moving away from the regular testing phase which used to be there. Probably they have done away with the manual QA role and those kind of things. So, in that context, how industry is moving, that are we removing that phase, and how we are going to maintain another. I was talking to a developer from such a engineering company, and he said that, because earlier we used to ship CDs, and so calling back the software patching used to be a big hurdle. Now, because everything is happening over the internet, so even if I deliver a feature and it's having a bug, I can quickly go back and just fix it within time. So is it contradicting that approach of delivering high quality product? What's your take?
Great question. So there are two parts. So one is that you asked that whether the testers are going away. So yes, in some organization, testing role may be diminishing, but not testing.
Yeah.
Testing is always required. It doesn't matter what role is playing that. And I'm sure you would have heard about there is something called shift left.
Yeah.
So what is shift left? The idea is that whatever you are doing towards the end game or towards the right, you need to bring it to the earlier level, whether it is unit testing, basically cover those things via unit testing or elsewhere. So so there may be title changes, and I know many companies, even though the title has gone away as a tester, but they may be called as engineers and still doing the testing. Correct. So it depends on the maturity of the team as well, the type of software that you are working on, that what kind of chances you want to take to the delivery, right? I don't think it can be generalized. Some of the industries like healthcare, airline industry, which is real time, you don't want to take chance. The ramifications are way too serious, right? That's one. Second part, I like the analogy of earlier CDs and now we can ship fast. And interestingly, the concept of CD still holds true. And let me tell you how. Especially with the mobile world. Yes, in the web world, you can still play around. You can push a new change. You can, expire the cookie or the files, and then you get the new one. But that the damage has been done, right? There is so much of social media that somebody can say that it is not working, even though you have fixed it, but the bad name is there. But just think about country like India, where people may be still data sensitive, right? The bandwidth or the data that they download. If somebody has downloaded an application, it was buggy. Even though you have uploaded a new version in the app store, I might have disabled that auto download. And how do you going to reach out to me and then tell that, hey Manoj, it was a bug in our software, why don't you download our new app? No, I tried one or two times. I may not even know that there is a new app. I'll just uninstall the app.
Right.
And today's world, people, especially in the field of e-commerce, there is a term called COCA, cost of customer acquisition. You ask them what is the cost of acquiring a customer and how painful it is when they lose because of a bug in the software that could have been otherwise avoided. So I think with the real estate like the mobile app, we should not take chances. And we all know, right, in the recent example, there are some companies, branded companies, that they had to delist their app from the stores. So, I don't think we can afford to take any, you know, chance with the quality of the software.
Right, as you correctly mentioned that the role may change, but the expectation of high quality will not change, and the necessity that it's everyone's responsibility that we need to make sure that it's there. We have another question coming from Naman Gandhi. And how do you manage and align client expectation when they express a desire for a project to be perfect? Or probably it might be in the context of VectoScalar technologies, because for a product company, the clients would be different. But for a company like VectoScalar, where we develop softwares on clients' requirement, so on one side there are time and budget constraint, but still the client want the perfect project. So how do we and manage that kind of scenario?
So the definition of perfect has to be clarified, right? It could be meaning different for me, or it could be different for Naman and for Vikas different, right? Uh, for me, it could be just basic functionality works fine. My timelines are met. It is a perfect. For Vikas, it could be the, it has to be high quality functionally. And Naman may say, no, my requirement is that I should be able to, serve my customers or consumers of this application within 2 seconds. So it's a area that there could be a different expectation. So clarify that what is the SLA of this software? What are the quality parameters on which it will be assessed? And I mentioned few of them. For example, the defects. It will not have these many defects, critical or highs. If there are medium and lows, we have reviewed them. We will do in the upcoming release with an ETS. There are no severe security issues there. On 500 concurrent user load, my application behaves or performs in less than 2 seconds with 90th percentile. Yes, so these are all the parameters which are very clear. Both parties agree to it, and there are no ambiguities.
So as you rightly mentioned that we need to define that perfect, because definitely we all of us want to have that kind of perfect thing, but we need to define what do we actually mean by perfect, so that we can actually comply to it. Because probably,
Yes.
as you rightly mentioned, that uh, client is asking perfect, but their definition could be one like 8 out of 10. My expectation could be 6 out of 10. I say that yes, I have delivered a perfect product, which is actually not perfect, right?
And many times it happens that it is a context of time as well. So when we put it like from our definition perspective, also we may say that there are 10 things. Before these 10 things are done, we can't call it perfect. But here is the timeline. And then if client agrees that yeah, this is correct, that we are doing in phase one, these three things are done, phase two, these four things are done, and in the phase three, rest three are done. And if both agrees, then at the end of the all three phases, you have a perfect software. But this has to be, called out, quantified, and what are those numbers are.
Right. Correct. That makes sense. I have another question coming from Jasprit Singh from Axtria. Hi, Manoj. My question for you is UI testing, automation testing for regression test cases?
So I'm just trying to understand the question correctly. Is UI automation testing for regression test case? I think the question is not complete. Uh,
As I could, let me just go. Okay, there is more to it. Probably I just a part of it was pasted. I'll just rephrase it. Is UI automation testing for regression test cases beneficial if it is not observable over a longer period of time, but has a high code or test coverage? And what do you suggest as an ideal scenario split for manual automation testing? I'll paste that in comment as well for easy access. So somehow,
Sure. No, but
yeah.
thank you. I got the, I think, hmm.
I've yeah,
So,
I've shared you in the private chat. Yeah.
sure, sure. Thank you. So, I think for the for any application, the first candidate for automation should be the APIs. APIs are much faster to automate, much more have reliability. They are less error prone or failure prone. For example, by and large, 90 to 90, probably 99% of the API should pass in the during the run. Whereas in the UIs, we see various failures. They may be false positive, but it requires a lot of effort to triage them. So for an application, API should be the one. UI should be kept minimal because they're more prone for the failures. But we need to cover the at least the minimal use cases or sanity so that we can detect them before the release goes out, right? So again, it depends on the frequency of the releases going out. Can you afford or the timelines for doing it manually? Or until it is automated, or if they are frequent, then you must have a greater scale of automation coverage so that you can ship them out. So yeah, so these all discretions are required until you have reached a certain level of automation that you are satisfied with the quality of their coverage. Until once you have done that, then there is no subjectivity, but until then you have to have these levers to decide.
Uh, thanks for asking that question. I have another question coming from Dheeraj Agarwal. How will you overcome the challenges faced due to the unavailability of proper documentation for testing? I think one of the common pain point of testing field that they are not providing enough information. And there is a another question coming from Dheeraj again, that on the basis of which factor would you consider choosing automated testing over manual testing, or also in the era of how manual tester AI, how manual tester will survive? I think it comes out to be three questions in that manner. So first question is that in the during, if the proper documentation is not available, what should be done?
Okay, great question. Uh, and I'm sure there are scenarios where there is proper documentation and still challenges, right? And I'll tell you about. So sometimes we end up considering documentation as a contract. And before I delve into this, I'll give you a very a perspective that you should think that if there are some things are changing or not documented, probably, right? I think this question is not only about the unavailability of proper documentation, but it is all about sometimes there are change in the requirements also. They are frequently changing, correct? So, like most of the time, we get our interiors done for our houses. I don't think the blueprint is final or everybody sticks to that blueprint which was created. As they get constructed, then you have change of taste or you believe that it has to be changed, correct? Now, and that change could be having a lot of impact or it could be a minor change. If it is a high impact, then the people who are working on it should provide that it is going to cost you X dollars or X number of additional days to incorporate this. Otherwise, we can get it done on time. So there are various factors. Now, coming back to the unavailable proper documentation, is that what kind of documentation we are expecting? In any requirement there are two kind of things, and I published in one of my LinkedIn blog as well. There is something called implicit requirement, there is something called explicit requirement, and many times we have seen that we may end up expecting the implicit requirements to be documented. And let me give an example. If you're creating a download functionality, you're saving a file with the same name already exists there. You download a new file, whether replacement for that existing file, there should be a confirmation box whether it should be an explicit requirement or it is an implicit requirement, right? So things like that. Now, so and many a times there is the list of the implicit requirement is so obvious or so long that we may want to get them documented as well. For any software, to build a good experience, all those things should come. if you are, for example, if you're using a list view should have sorting, it should have filtering, it should have pagination, it should be allowing user to change the column order, it should be allowing the user to change their width, what you can show. But generally what will happen? You want to just create a list, you will create a one basic table, one, there is a header row, there's nothing, and then say, oh, now if you need to have sorting, it is 2 days additional effort. I want filtering, this is 2 more days effort. So how can I make it use some component and make in such a way that these all basic things expected, right? This is not a requirement. If list view has to be there, it has to have all these features. So, and the last point to answer Dheeraj's question, that if there is an unavailability, then go for a discussion. The person who is supposed to going to consume it, try to reach to that person, or the person who is giving requirement, have those asking many a times right question also helps. Document those questions, have your own understanding, and deliver it accordingly, right?
That makes
Maybe
sense.
when you ask the right question, they would also realize that it is they're not correct, and they will document it.
Okay, that makes total sense, and I think there are a couple of questions. I'll quickly take them up because in the interest of time. So,
Sure.
talking about the next question from Dheeraj, that what are the factors where automated testing is preferred over the manual testing? Probably, I'll just take the first part.
I don't think it is any brainer, right? It is reliable, it is fast, you can use it more often. There is no dependency on one single individual. So, uh, but yeah, if you know that it is not going to be ever used again, which highly unlikely the scenario. So I
Yeah.
think automation will always be helpful.
Okay. Okay. And what about your thought on next question, where AI is changing the way, probably the way things are changing in all the aspects in every industry? How the future of testing will be in the age of AI?
So I don't think we should see it from the survival factor, right? It is AI or any other tool, LLMs, Gen AI, like ChatGPT. They are the great tools. They should complement what we are doing. Now, if you are writing a scenario, you're writing test cases for a certain scenario, you can go and clarify, right? You see that what are the potential other things, and it give you a good input. It should complement that now you with the additional scenario coverages so that you can deliver better quality. Correct. So they are not competitors. They are going to complement us in what we are doing.
That's a beautiful insight, that probably we have this tendency of seeing everything as a threat. So it's more about complementing, adding a new armor to our armory to achieving that highest goal of building high quality products.
True.
True. We have another question coming from Narendra Pal Singh. Which are the best tools for API automation? Do we need a setup? Do we need to set up a separate environment to run automation suites, or should do it on production itself?
So the I'll answer the last one completely no. No testing on production, please. So that's a complete no-no. Our customers' data cannot be a test environment for us. So the choice of tool depends, right? Postman, rest assured. Some people have written their own in-house tools. So it depends on the skills of the individuals, how many to be automated, things like that. But certainly the ready tools gives you a quick start that you can create those packages and then start automating them really quickly. So, but there are other factors that you want to use, cross environments and other things that you want to leverage, internal policy of the company, that what kind of tools be used or not used, right? They have to clear their security clearance also. Sometimes open source tools have these challenges that company has to go through.
This kind of question just giving me as a thought, probably it might be already there, and as you keep writing blogs, is there any checklist, like people are asking? Because I have worked in software industry for more than 20 years, and it seems like uh, there are things which are known to senior people, and people who are just joining are asking the same question. Is there any checklist that you mentioned about, these are the seven, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 type of broad domain which is to be testing, and then for each drop down, what are, if it is a table, what are the 5 6 things that are to be tested? Definitely there are books, and the large books are there, but is there a checklist, 2 pager 3 pager checklist?
Yeah, absolutely. I think internet has tons of them, but for our internally for our organization, we have also created such a checklist that
Okay.
basic things, UI element. If it is a drop down, you would expect that the value should be alphabetical order. They should not be truncated. I should be able to navigate with mouse. They should be clearly displayed with the localized characters. They should have correct tab order. Basic one,
Yeah.
right? And you have probably about 25, 30 controls that can be there on any UI page, and you can configure them. So anytime there is a change in an UI element, you can just validate quickly.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for asking. Narendra Pal Singh is asking another question. Is there any way to automate test cases generation based on standard requirement document? Rather, some QA engineering is creating it manually. Can we create the test cases automatically?
So yeah, there are now Gen AI softwares which are, uh, so it is the automate test case generation. I think with there are some experiment done with the Gen AI tools that are providing, in fact, automatic test case writing as well. So
Okay.
not test case writing, but in fact the writing the methods, writing the code, which are, I think that they are there currently.
Okay, okay. Actually, VectoScalar, we are also building a product, and that product is having this capability where if we give the certain keywords, it can build the test cases. And also, there is a add-on that it can actually automate. So if a test case is written in a typical manual test case basis, then it can automatically convert it into a testable script, an automation script that can be actually tested. So yes, those possibility exist, Narendra, and there are softwares which can do that. I would like to take this just last question because I really uh, wanted to complete all the questions, but in the interest of time, this is going to be the last question. So Jatin Prakash is asking that most of the production incidents closed without knowing the root cause. So are we delivering high quality products or just building high quality or just building high quality products? Very technical question.
So I would say that there is a physics concept called motion and the movement. So if you are closing them without knowing the root cause, then it is simply a motion. You will again end up facing that one down the line. But if we don't know, if we go and then fix it, then you are making some movement. So you have, as a team, we have got better next day by learning from this experience. So production incident should not be seen just production incident. It's a reflection of what how we have delivered and what are the areas that we need to learn. Right, that's the reason they have been leaked out. So if the moment we start seeing them as a learning opportunity for all of us, and the gaps in the processes or our understanding, we would learn a lot from them and not allow anyone to close them without knowing the root cause.
That makes a lot of sense, Manoj. And any last message for the audience before we close the VectoScalar Tech Talk session today?
Oh, sure. So I think I believe in a one quote which says that be the change you want to see in the world, which is from Mahatma Gandhi. So many times we have expectation from others that all the things should come to me, a perfect situation, perfect timeline, perfect documentation, then I can deliver perfect. And it does not happen. The thing is that if you want to deliver quality, set that benchmark, right? Be vocal about if quality is not clear, not good up to the mark, and then the question you should be asking, if this is a situation, what I have done to improve it. Have I tried two, three things? Have I brought it to the notice of the people who can make a difference? But don't give up. Don't give up. It becomes very contagious when people start talking, thinking about quality, and everybody then contributes to it. So, be the change you want to see in the world.
That's a beautiful closing remark. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And we have accolades coming from Simple Setia. Thanks, Manoj, for such an insightful session. Thanks again, Manoj, and welcome again that you took out time and to be on the Vector Sailor Tech Talk show. Have a nice day ahead and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikas, and thanks to VectoScaler for inviting me. Thank you. Bye.